This video contains spoilers for Pokemon Legends ZA. I regret to inform you that Pokemon Legends Zaza is pretty good, but it's not the best Pokemon game because, let's be honest, we all know that the best Pokemon games were
the ones you played when you were 8 years old.
I've noticed that a lot of people online like to make up problems, just for the sole purpose of having something to be mad about. Me personally, I think the world's full of problems as is, which is why, as the most fair and unbiased YouTuber alive, I felt obligated to tell you what Pokemon Legends ZA is really like. No rage bait, just straight up facts. Let's start with the problems I actually had with Pokemon Legend of Za. For context, I played the game on Switch 1 because my wife's boyfriend wouldn't buy me a Switch 2. Unfortunately, this meant I experienced a lot of long loading screens, which were particularly noticeable during the day-night transitions, since those happen about once every 15 minutes, are unavoidable, and reload the entire map. There is one upside to the longer loading times on Switch 1. It means my NPC teammate Lita does her spin move at the same time the boss music kicks in. Plus 100 aura points. But once the game finished loading, I didn't notice any performance issues. Even the battles where I was getting jumped by 5 wild Pokemon at once ran pretty smoothly. The other major issue I had with Pokemon ZA was the lack of voice acting. I don't think every single line in the game needed to be voiced, but I would have liked it in at least the major cutscenes. I ended up doing my own voices for all of the characters. I'm pretty sure Tepig doesn't actually sound like Tony Soprano, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But honestly, those are my only major criticisms. Beyond that, we get to things that made people mad online, but didn't actually affect me when I was playing the game. Most notably, the background graphics. I noticed that people who didn't actually play the game like to bring this up, probably for two main reasons. One, this is something that's easy to notice when you're looking at a trailer or screenshot out of context. And two, graphics quality is something that's easy to measure numerically. Remember, your average drama YouTuber, they're not like you or me. They don't have the mental capacity to go beyond shallow, surface level analysis. So they criticize things like the graphics quality, because that's something they can judge without needing to do things like, critical thinking or research. But in the grand scheme of things, the background graphics don't really matter that much. Because when I sat down and, played the game, my eyes were naturally drawn to the people and the Pokemon. The actually important things. I was also concerned that the combat in this game would be brainless button mashing, but that's far from the case. Each move has been reworked to fit the new real-time combat system. For example, Metal Claw is a short-ranged but quick attack, while Hydro Pump takes some time to charge up but can hit targets from far away. This adds an additional layer of complexity, on top of your traditional type matchups. I remember one side quest required me to use the move Dig at the right time, to avoid my opponent's strongest move and then counterattack. It's not quite as strategy heavy as your traditional turn-based formula, but it should be a decent challenge for kids. Or game journalists. This leads into my next point. The core gameplay loop is just straight up fun. Between catching rare Pokemon, exploring the city for treasure, and picking fights with random strangers on the street, it feels like there's something interesting to do at all times. And the real-time combat is a big part of this. In the old Pokemon games, every single battle meant navigating through menus upon menus, which led to several sections of the game being really tedious. But now, if you see a Pokemon, you can just run up and beat the shit out of them, like you're Mark Wahlberg and they're an elderly Vietnamese man. I also liked the game's soundtrack. It reminded me a lot of Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors, except completely different in every way. Of course, I have to mention the writing. The main story isn't anything special, just your usual Saturday morning cartoon stuff. The dialogue, however, is fucking hilarious. Out of nowhere, NPCs will just randomly say the most absurd, out-of-pocket shit imaginable. It gives the game a chaotic, unpredictable energy that's really refreshing compared to the soulless AI-generated writing that seems to be everywhere these days. And obviously, I couldn't make a Pokemon video without talking about all of the new Pokemon they introduced. I like most of the new Mega Evolutions they added in Pokemon Legends ZA, but my favorite by far has to be Mega Starmie. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. In all seriousness, people who are calling this a lazy design are missing the point. It's not lazy, it's stupid. But it's intentionally stupid. If you look at the other Mega Evolutions in the game, it's clear that they could have given Mega Starmie a spiky, over-the-top, nothing personnel kid design, but they purposely chose not to. So why is that? Well, if you go back and look, every generation of Pokemon has some cool, tough-looking designs, some cute designs, and some designs that are just straight up silly. This is one of the reasons that Pokemon stands out from the competition. They're not afraid to put out a few designs that are goofy or weird. This diversity of designs is actually quite clever from a marketing perspective, because it means the franchise as a whole can cater to a wide audience, not just 13-year-old edgelords. Maybe not every single Pokemon will be your favorite, but because there's so much variety in designs, there's going to be at least a handful that you really vibe with. Again, this is not something that's easy to measure, but I genuinely think it's one of the main reasons that Pokemon has remained relevant for so long. In conclusion, people were wrong about Pokemon Zaza, mostly because they couldn't distinguish between the things that are easy to measure and the things that are actually important for a good game. That sounded suspiciously like a meaningful lesson, and on this channel, we don't believe in personal growth, so I'm gonna end the video right here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all later.